Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Dobro, and today I have a surprise makeup tutorial for you guys. I'm so excited. I haven't posted anything about this look. I haven't told you guys anything about this look like at all. It is like a super surprise. And I've been working on this tutorial for what seems like forever. So I'm just gonna get right into it and tell you guys what's been going on. So, I mean, it's so weird to say this, but 20th Century Fox hit me up asking me if I wanted to do a makeup tutorial inspired by the movie Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. They said I could do the look inspired by just like the movie itself or the characters, and they told me that I could choose what I wanted to do the makeup look inspired by. So I chose Miss Peregrine because her color scheme is super gorgeous. It's like a darkened blue, black type of color scheme, and she turns into a peregrine falcon, so that's awesome as well. So when I started thinking about like doing like a makeup tutorial about it, like my thought process behind it was like girl in mid transformation into peregrine falcon, like it's taking over my body and I can't stop it, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's like my whole thought process behind this makeup tutorial, how I wanted the look to be portrayed, just to give you guys kind of like a weird insight into my mind and what I was thinking when I was doing this makeup look, so you guys aren't just like, I don't get it. But before I got started, I wanted to thank 20th Century Fox for being like, hey, we want you to do a makeup look. We pick you, you know? That's just so awesome, and I can't thank you guys enough for this awesome opportunity. I still, like, don't really believe it. I'm, like, waiting for them to be like, hey, this isn't really real. We tricked you. We're kidding, you know? I don't know. It's just so awesomely unreal. But it is real. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you 20th Century Fox for just being awesome. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys at 20th Century Fox like this makeup look. I hope you guys, my subscribers, like this makeup look. But I think that's it. So I am going to get into this makeup tutorial. It is going to be a voiceover, so I will see you guys in a second. Okay, to start this crazy makeup look, I've already primed my eyes with my MAC Select Cover Up Concealer, as well as my MAC Blanc type eyeshadow over top of the concealer to completely nude out my lids. Next, I'm going into this MAC eyeshadow in Carbon, and this is a matte black shade. And I'm really packing this onto my lid so the black gets like super intense. And to achieve that super black intense color, I'm using this Urban Decay blending brush, and this brush isn't super fluffy. It's more compacted together, like more on the dense side of blending brushes. And while I continuously packed this shadow on, I slightly blended the black upwards into my crease. And for what seemed like forever, I continued to darken up my lid while still slowly blending that black upwards until I passed my crease. And once I was done with that and I was satisfied, I flipped my brush over to the super flat side to really get as close to my inner corner as possible to really make sure no skin color was visible, like at all. And I also darkened up the black above my crease, but mainly focusing on that outer V part of my eye. Okay, now that I've darkened everything up for the moment, I'm going to use this Makeup Forever 242 blending brush with the tiniest bit of that black carbon shade, and I'm blending out that black above the crease that I added previously to make it look like the shade is diffusing or fading or ombreing. I don't know the right term for that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And I'm blending that super messily, but I wasn't exactly stoked on how it was looking because I think the brush was too big or fluffy or something because it was leaving patchy parts. And I tried adding more of the black eyeshadow to the brush to make it less patchy, but that didn't work. So I switched to my Urban Decay blending brush, which is not as big and has more of a dense feel to it, so I can really control where the product goes and blend out those patchy parts. And I had dragged that black shadow out kind of like where my wing would go, and I brought it all the way into my inner corner while slightly going down the bridge of my nose as well. And after I was done blending that eyeshadow out, I cleaned up the fallout and the edges with a wet Q-tip just to keep the shadow as controlled as possible. Okay, so now to save on some time and to not completely bore you guys out of your minds, I'm going to summarize this part up because I'm repeating all the same steps that I just did previously. I'm darkening up the eyeshadow and then blending it out with some of the black carbon shadow on the brush and dragging it down lower and lower onto the bridge of my nose and then cleaning and sharpening that all up. And I repeated that routine multiple times to just slowly build up that black color. Then off camera I did my other eye to again save on time. Next, I'm taking another wet Q-tip and I'm cleaning and sharpening up my inner corner, as well as rounding out that outer V part of my eye, while also cleaning up the edges. And I'm shortening up the shadow on the bridge of my nose so that when I blend that part out, which will be in a second, it won't get dragged too far down my nose. And now that I'm all done cleaning up and sharpening the edges, I'm going to blend those edges out for my life to make it look more of like a messy type of look. And why I felt the need to sharpen up the edges and then totally unsharpen the edges again, I don't know. I do not know why. It just felt necessary. Okay, yay! Taking a break from the eyeshadow for a bit. I'm going in with this Marc Jacobs gel eyeliner in black, and throughout applying this to my tight line, I make the creepiest face. I don't know why, I just had to point that out because it was just weird. But yeah, anyways, I'm only adding the eyeliner to my tight line, and throughout this tutorial, I think it transferred to my waterline, so it kind of looks like I added it to my waterline as well, but I didn't. Okay, so I'm super excited for this next part. I'm taking this matte glitter in Reflex Transparent Teal, and this stuff looks white, but as you can see on the brim of the packaging, it reflects an awesome teal color. And I'm mixing that glitter with this MAC mixing medium to create a super sparkly eyeliner that I'm only applying to my bottom lash line. And I'm using my Sigma E75 angle brow brush to apply that glitter liner in dabbing motions so it's as opaque as possible and just absolutely packed with glitter. And once I had that simple line of glitter underneath my lashes, I realized that that just was not enough for me. So I dragged the liner farther down underneath my eyes, still dabbing it on so it's super opaque. And once I was satisfied with the dramaticness of the glitter liner, I dragged it pretty far out towards my outer V area and also adding it super carefully to my inner corner as well. And voila, glitter liner is done. Next, I'm taking that same glitter, but with no mixing medium or anything like that, just the glitter itself. And I'm adding that to the outer V area and dragging that glitter inwards, just a little bit under my brow bone area. And later on in the video, I'm going to add more of that glitter onto the outer V and brow bone again. But first, I'm going to darken up the eyes again. I'm sorry if you guys are getting over the eyes and darkening up and whatnot, but the black keeps fading and I want the black to be like ridiculously pigmented. But I'm sorry if you're getting bored. I hope you're not. But yeah. And once I was done packing the black shadow on my lids, I took my Naked 2 blending brush with some of the black shadow on it, and I blended that into my inner corners, dragging it down onto the bridge of my nose, but really building up that black this time to make the look just super intense. Then I connected the shadow in the inner corner to the shadow more near my lid/crease area to have it all flow together. And I continued to build up the shadow in my inner corners to make the whole look more intense and creepy. And once I was satisfied with the creepiness and intensity of the look, I took another break from the eyeshadow and moved on to mascara. Okay, so the mascara that I'm using is the They're Real by Benefit Cosmetics, and I'm like absolutely in love with this stuff. Like, you guys have no idea. Anyways, I'm adding this to my top and bottom lashes, and my lid is so dark that you can't even tell that I'm wearing mascara on the top lashes, but that's okay, because in the end, the bottom lashes really like popped. Okay, so I am done with the mascara, and that part went by super fast and it was super easy, so yay. And next, I am very excited to say that this is my last time touching up my eyes. Yay! So to finish off the eyes, I'm cleaning up my face again, but not making the lines super sharp like I did last time, just cleaning around the eyeshadow. Then I added a ton more of the glitter to my outer V area, blending it upwards to my brow and dragging it a tad inwards. And now it is all awesomely shiny. Next, I'm using my E75 angle brow brush again, and I'm dipping into that glitter again to connect my glitter liner to the loose glitter that is on my outer V area to make sure they blend together with no patchy spots in between them. And lastly, I darken up my eyes again. Are you surprised? But I did do one thing differently this time. I patted some of the black shadow to the inner part of my brow because I wanted the black to look like it was coming from me, like it was a part of my body, if that makes any sense. But other than that, I just made everything darker. And to set all of that in place so nothing fades or anything like that, my mom sprayed my eyes with the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. And we're done! Well, with the eyes, but we're done! Okay, now I can finally start on the face. So first things first, I'm taking my Primetime Neutralizer by Bare Minerals with my Cover FX Liquid Foundation Brush. And I'm patting this all over my face, and I really wanted like a super neutral base, so I added a ton of this stuff on my face. But that kind of actually backfired because it made me like super yellow once I put my foundation on and everything. So I learned never to do that again. But it still looked okay in the end, so it's all good. Okay, now that I'm done with my primer, I'm going into my Marc Jacobs Remarkable Full Coverage Foundation. And when you unscrew the top of this foundation, it has like this rubber ball thing on the end of it. So I just dabbed that all over my face, being super careful around the eyeshadow part. And when I was done adding that all over my face, I took the Cover FX foundation brush again and just blended that out in dabbing motions. And this stuff is extremely full coverage, so if you were to use this stuff, I wouldn't add as much as I just did because I am seriously cake facing it right now. But that is okay. And as I was blending out this foundation, I left a pretty significant gap between my eyeshadow and foundation because I didn't want to get too close to the eyeshadow and end up messing it up. So I blended that part out later with an eyeshadow brush. Okay, now that I'm done blending that out, I'm taking my Beauty Blender and I'm smoothing out my foundation. And also the Beauty Blender picks up excess foundation if you've put on too much. So I just dab that all over my face so it will pick up some of the unneeded foundation. And once I felt like the Beauty Blender had picked up a good amount of unnecessary foundation, I took this Sephora eyeshadow brush and I blended / filled in the gaps between the shadow and foundation. So I dragged the foundation up into the gaps and then carefully blended that into / near the glitter liner and shadows so you couldn't see the separation between the two. And I also blended out the foundation that was near the bridge and sides of my nose as well. Okay, now that I'm done with the foundation part, I'm going to start on my concealer, and I'm using the MAC Select Cover Up Concealer in NW15. And I'm adding that under my eyes using the same Sephora eyeshadow brush in a triangle-esque formation, dragging it down my cheeks as well as adding a bit to the sides of my nose, while getting it as close to my eyeshadow as possible without destroying it. And lastly, just to highlight some spots on my face, I'm adding that concealer down my nose, to the T-zone area on my forehead, on my cupid's bow, and lastly on my chin. Then I took my Beauty Blender again, but this time I'm using the smaller, pointier side to blend out all the places that I had just added concealer to. Then after I was done with that, I took my Sephora eyeshadow brush that I was using previously to blend out the concealer that was super close to my eyeshadow. As you can probably tell, this brush works very well to get into those tiny, scary areas. And bam, the concealer is done. Okay, now I'm going into this Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, and I'm adding that all over my face with my Real Techniques powder brush to set my foundation and the concealer underneath my eyes. Okay, now that part is done. So next I'm taking that MAC Black eyeshadow in Carbon again, and I'm taking my Sigma E15 flat definer brush, and I'm carving out my cheekbones starting from my ear and dragging it down diagonally to get a seriously intense contour. Then I smudge that line out to make it thicker, and I also drag the line a little more inwards and curve the end of it up ever so slightly to give it that like apple of your cheek type of look, instead of it being just like a straight line. And once I was happy with the way that it looked, I took my Makeup Forever blending brush and I added the tiniest amount of the Carbon eyeshadow onto my brush, and I started to blend my contour line upwards, but not taking it too far. And once I was done blending that out, I took the MAC Reflex Teal Glitter again, using the same brush, and I added heaps of that on top of my cheeks, acting as my highlight. And look, it's so pretty! Okay, and I'm going to really speed through the other side of my face because you guys already know how I did everything. So yeah, once I was done carving out the other side of my face using the same brushes and products and everything, I decided to quote unquote bronze my temples up with the Carbon shadow whilst still using the Makeup Forever brush. And I didn't take that shadow across my forehead, I just stuck with focusing on my temples only. And also, I didn't make the temples like super dark, I made them about the same color as my contour. Now that we're done contouring the face, I forgot to highlight my cupid's bow, so bam, cupid's bow highlighted with the same matte glitter that we were using before. Okay, now that we're done with that, I'm going to start darkening up my neck with, of course, the MAC Carbon eyeshadow. And like my whole goal and thought process behind this was to ombre my neck, going from super dark black at the bottom of my neck and lighter under my chin. And I mean, it kind of turned out that way. It wasn't as dramatic as I was hoping for, but I'm still stoked with the outcome of it. So first things first, I started off adding just a bit of shadow to my brush, then dusting that under my chin, and then blended that out for my life. And when I was done with that and went lower down on my neck, I would pack on more of that black shadow with my Urban Decay Naked 2 brush, and switch over to my Makeup Forever brush to blend that part out so you couldn't see the individual dots of dark eyeshadow on my neck. And when I was done pretty much smoothing that shadow out, I would then try to mesh the two different shades of black together so it just flowed more. And after I was done with all that, I took this Sonia Kashuk, I think, contour brush because I wanted more pigment faster, but this brush actually wasn't packing on as much shadow as I thought it would, so I just went back to my Urban Decay brush. But the contour brush actually gave me this cool abstract looking line, so I just went with it and it turned out awesome looking in the end, so that was like pretty awesome. But besides that awesomeness, I continued to pack on the shadow with my Urban Decay brush, following that line down the side of my neck and then really smudging out the bottom of it. And that like seriously helped the whole like in mid transformation aspect of the look, so that was like everything. Okay, now that that part is done, I realized that I wanted my contour darker, so I quickly added some more carbon shadow in the hollow of my cheeks. And we're done. Oh. And next, we are going to start on the lips. So to start off with the lips, I'm taking that same Marc Jacobs gel eyeliner that I used for my tight line previously in the video, and I'm outlining my lips with that. And black lip liner is not forgiving, not one bit. But I will fix my mistakes in a bit in a pretty awesome way, I must say. Next, I'm taking this Kat Von D liquid lipstick in Witches, and I'm filling in my lips with this as well as going over the lip liner. Okay, now that that's done, now I'm going to fix my mistakes that I made with the lip liner like 5 seconds ago. So I took my Naked 2 brush and smudged the lipstick and lip liner down my chin on one side, and on the other side I brought it down the side of my face. Then I dragged both of those lines down to where the black was underneath my chin. And that gave the look a little extra weirdness. Now that I'm done with that, I'm just gonna sit here and bask in all the weirdness that's happening right now because I'm just so in love with it. Okay, moment over. Next, I'm taking the same matte glitter that I've been using throughout this whole tutorial, and I'm adding that on my lips and also the dragged out lines, going back and forth between the two. And when I was done with that, I doused my neck in that glitter as well, because you can never have enough glitter, like ever. And now that we're done with all that gorgeousness, we've finally made it to the last step. Last thing that I'm doing to pull the whole look together is gluing feathers to my ears. So I took this Duo eyelash glue and these feathers that I got from Joann's, and I would first add glue to the top of my ear, and then my mom would press the feather over my ear and hold it there for a bit until it would stick when she would let go. And we did that multiple times until my ears were totally covered, which I think was about 3 feathers on each ear. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. And we're done! This is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys so much. And if you guys happen to be interested in buying Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children movie, there's a link down in my bio, so go check that out. And I'll see you guys in my next video. And now for a creepy outro. Mwah!